So, mental health, it's a big reason people are calling out sick. With worker burnout on record highs, we've had the World Health Organization talking about this as well. We feel very fortunate and lucky to have Dr. Jennifer Pfeuffer speaking with us today from Bastyr University, professor and core faculty member there. So we're seeing this increase in mental health and people calling out sick. And we wanted to ask you, is there a smart way to take a mental health day? So taking a mental health day, is this a new thing? Yeah, tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I think that mental health is, well, first of all, it's part of health. So if we think about the integrative care and the model of, just being collaborative with each other and providers and saying it is a really important part of our functioning, I think mental health is something that unfortunately still carries a bit of a stigma. And so asking for a mental health day might be a little scary for some people. I think that we've in the past, or maybe even currently, just lied about it. We've said, I need the day off because I'm physically ill, because again, maybe the stigma, maybe the difficult conversation around mental health has led people to just lie about it. What I'm hoping and what I'm seeing happening a little bit more is a normalizing of this conversation around mental health. So talking about it, making it front and center, and saying that, wow, the last 2 years have been really difficult on a lot of people. And so for some people, this could mean they've lost their job even, or they've lost family members. And so over the past 2 years, again, this increase with people using their platforms or their status in the world to kind of say, let's talk about this. An example, Simone Biles, Michael Phelps even. So amongst athletes, there's been some research to say 34% of them are impacted with depression or anxiety. And those are just the ones that kind of come forward and say, yes, this is a struggle. And again, back to that stigma, I think we have to have more conversations around this. So people everywhere in life, from athletes to people, everyday people, just saying, you know what, this is something I need to take a pause. I need to ask for a break. I need to, again, take a step back and take the day off. And I think that's okay. So yes, normalizing the conversation is important. Making it part of the way that we look after ourselves, and really not letting it get to a point where we're going to burn out, which is obviously a fear.
Yeah, you bring up so many good points, Dr. Pfeuffer, and it's making me think about that mind-body connection where we would normalize taking time off for physical ailments, but now understanding that deep connection between the mind and the body, and taking a mental health day as a preventative mechanism as well. And the other piece you're mentioning is that destigmatization, where it's becoming normalized, validated, that it's okay to ask for this. And what I've been hearing from folks is employers are welcoming it and even responding back and saying, great, you're taking a mental health day. Good for you. So it's nice to see that shift in culture and in society. So what are some signs that we may be needing a mental health day?
Yeah, there's so many different signs, and I think this is individual for everyone. I think of it more as a spectrum. So for some people on the one end, signs and symptoms might include agitation, frustration, anger, maybe lashing out at people that are close to you, just not being able to deal with the day-to-day pressure. On the other end of the spectrum, this may look like someone that is isolating, that is experiencing sadness and is not reaching out to friends or family. This might impact sleep. It might impact the way that we eat or the way that we engage in exercise. And I think that for many people, again, understanding that knowing our own triggers, I think, is really important. Knowing when we're getting to that point where we need to take a step back is really important. If we think about the last 2 years, we've in some ways not had a lot of control. And I think from a psychological perspective, we've been maybe functioning at a higher level of anxiety. We've been trying to keep it all together. We've been trying to fulfill all these different roles that we used to do, but doing it in a very different kind of way, because for so many of us, we've been online, or we've been not seeing people in the community. And that's a stressor in itself. The American Psychological Association, or APA, really thinks that there's this psychological fallout that's going to happen even after, and currently now, we're starting to get back into the world again, so to speak. So the residual effects of grief and loss and change that has happened over the past 2 years, it's still being something that we're going to be seeing and experiencing as humans. So yeah, I think that, again, it's different for everyone what that looks like in terms of the stress and the signs, but it's knowing yourself and knowing when you're teetering on that edge and needing to pull back. It is a spectrum. So just kind of keeping that in mind, that it might look different for each person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what I hear you saying, Dr. Pfeuffer, is having that self-awareness or reflection of where one's mind, body, and spirit is at, what it's asking from us, and trying to let go of some of the shame and guilt, but honoring and accepting what we are asking of ourselves. And then with that, taking that mental health day to rejuvenate, recenter. Is there a way we should spend our mental health day? Like, what should we do?
Yeah. And again, this is going to look different for everyone. I think there's 3 different ways that I can think about this and talk about. So the first one is taking a physical rest day. And so again, maybe our sleep has been lacking. Maybe we're just not in a good space physically. And so taking a mental health day to just simply rest, to just sleep in, to go about the day, maybe reading a book, cooking a good meal, reconnecting with ourselves, taking that afternoon nap even, and not feeling guilty about it. I think that when the body is fatigued, it's really, really hard on the mind as well. So to your point about the integrative and the holistic mind-body connection that we celebrate at Bastyr, it's impossible to just focus on one. And so again, rest can be so restorative for people, and it can be a good way for even new parents or caregivers to have that day off. So definitely the first one, physical rest. I think the second one, and I use this a lot too, to catch up on things. And so maybe we've got those lists that have been sitting there and life has just been hectic and work has been overwhelming. Taking that day to catch up on things. So maybe this is dropping clothes off at the dry cleaners, or, just being productive and feeling like we're getting errands done can be really, really awesome, and gets us back into that sense of control. Crossing things off a list, that can be so rewarding for us as humans, to say, this is done, I'm back in control. So again, maybe it's a day running errands and just feeling like you're getting all your loose ends tied up a little bit. And then thirdly, and this is kind of something to remember if you are in the caregiver role, if you're a parent, simply checking in with yourself. So much of what we do in life is give to others. We want others to be well. We want our family to be okay, our friends to be feeling good, and checking in with them on their mental health. What about us? So really tapping into some check-ins and exploration about what it is that we need. So for example, maybe this is a spiritual path that we've been neglecting. Let's kind of go back there. Let's see what is still there and undiscovered. For some of us, maybe this is a new education path or a career path that we've put on the back burner. Tapping into that. Again, this can look like a variety of different things. And so using that day as a way to really reconnect with ourselves is really great and really awesome and effective, to just kind of keep ourselves feeling well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like that. And what you're saying, it's almost as though this is a catch-up day, but not, maybe it's catching up on some tasks, but catching up on, how am I feeling? What am I needing? What will fill my cup, make me feel re-energized, refueled, so I can come back and be my best self. So I like how you're emphasizing there's a part of this that's relational, that's emotional, that's connection with the self, connection with the others. And of course, we all have our tasks and to-do lists, but that will help us to recenter and reground.
Mm-hmm.
What about things maybe we want to avoid or shouldn't do on a mental health day that wouldn't make us feel as refueled and re-energized?
Yeah, I think again, for so many of us, we've been over the past 2 years kind of catapulted into this online life and living and connecting through our phones, through our computers, which can be really, really helpful. But at the same time, I think there's a limit for all of us, kind of knowing when we might be scrolling too much on our phone or too connected to the virtual world. So one suggestion I have is to kind of minimize or even maybe take a break from connecting online. So really getting ourselves into nature, just getting away from the screen can be really, really effective and helpful in terms of mental health. You know, it's interesting because we've gone from this world of being in person and really engaging and feeling each other's energy and being able to be in the moment with someone in a room, to again the past few years being connected online only. And so that energy piece, some of those nonverbal communication styles that we were used to kind of adapting to, they're not there anymore when we're online. And what's happened too is we've never spent so much time staring at our faces on the screen. And so when we look at things like comparison and stressors and anxiety or depression around, wow, you know, there's 20 people on this screen, I kind of feel like, wow, I'm a mess today. Or, you know, we can just get into these thinking patterns that are quite negative when we're only seeing ourselves on a screen for extended periods of our day. So, you know, I'm definitely one that believes that we need that break away from the screen time. We need to, again, get back into nature because it can be so restorative for us. And living in Southern California, it's beautiful that we have options to be out in nature and just sit and be present. And again, reconnect with our body, reconnect with our mind, and have that space to do so outside of the computer.
Yeah, very powerful suggestions, reminding us to unplug and reminding us to get back and reconnect with a more natural environment and connect with nature. And it's making me think about how Bastyr University can support individuals on this journey, and reminding folks that we have counseling services year round at our clinic for anyone that's interested. But also, if some of this speaks to you and you've been drawn to what we're talking about and that holistic perspective, or that mind-body connection, mind-body-spirit connection, and that integrative approach, and you're thinking, wow, this speaks to me, and I could see myself being in a healing role as a counselor, supporting and facilitating someone on their own journey. We are taking applications for our Master's in Counseling program for licensed eligible licensed professional clinical counselor that's approved by the Board of Behavioral Sciences. So feel free to visit our website for either end of that spectrum, as someone interested in receiving healing services or someone who's interested in becoming a healer. So thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you so much, Dr. Pfeuffer, for your words of wisdom and knowledge. It's always a pleasure to connect and speak with you.